Maybe that's why you don't like Eagle Rare 17, because they're sticking in those stainless steel barrels to
I just
hold on to it for years
smell
and years.
metal. That's all. And I smell metal and greed. That's all I smell when I taste Eagle. when I taste Eagle Rare.
Metal and greed. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Whiskey Uncut podcast. I'm your host, Paul, joined by co-host James, the Whiskey Professor.
Oh, no, new title. I like it.
New title.
Yeah.
I figured since you're always throwing around your fancy PhDs and master's degrees. That,
I prefer Whiskey Doctor.
Whiskey Doctor?
Yeah, that makes me sound better.
What about Doctor of Love?
Yeah, that does not make me sound good at all. No, let's stick with whiskey.
Whiskey Doctor? Okay.
Yeah.
Doctor of Whiskey, James, who has graciously, in our last episode, given me this bacon air freshener.
Oh, it's so good.
To remind me of Octomore.
Yeah.
I'm going to remove it now because even in the plastic bag, it smells horrendous. So,
well, your dog liked it. That's what.
Yeah,
that's
the
what
dog
said.
was quite.
The dog loved the bacon air freshener.
Yeah, the dog was thrilled.
Good.
Yeah, she almost jumped me for it. So I think today we're going to do Taiwanese whiskeys, following up on the Japanese whiskeys we did last week. I thought it would be cool to stay in Asia and talk about Kavalan.
Yeah, and I'm excited for this too because I knew what Kavalan was, but I think the only reason I've tried Kavalan is because I know you. It's one of those bottles when you see it, even sitting on the shelf, it's kind of pricey. These are all like, what?
Yeah,
80...
the cheapest one starts at $80.
Yeah. And so it's not one that I typically just want to take a swing at. So it was nice to know somebody that has a little bit of a collection of them, give them a shot.
So for those who don't know, Kavalan is the distillery in Taiwan. It's in the Ilan province. And I found it purely by accident when I was over there visiting my brother. We were just happened to be staying near a few miles away from the distillery. And they had just won some international awards. So my brother knew that they were around. And he told me, and he's like, hey, we should go check it out. So they opened in 2005, and it's contrary to a lot of small distilleries that start up as like, you know, especially with like bourbon, you see a lot of people like, oh, my grandfather had this recipe, or, you know, we revived this brand that used to be really iconic here that's fallen away. Kavalan's a totally new thing. It's produced by like the biggest coffee maker in Taiwan. And it started off just totally industrial, large scale right away, millions of liters right off the bat. But I got there right at the perfect time. So this is like the first batch of their whiskey that they produced because they opened in 2005 and these bottles are 2014, 2011. So they're about 5 years old, and they were basically that first run of what Kavalan made. And so they had a little better casks, a little more special casks than they maybe do now. They've changed up some of the recipes. For instance, on the Vino, it's using different types of wine barrels now than it did in the past. But some of these others, the Ex-Bourbon, the Concert Master, and the King Car are going to be the same. Those are all, I purchased those recently and got a hold of those recently. Kavalan, the big thing that they got known for those who don't know, is winning international whiskey competition, single malt competition specifically, against like 20, 25-year-old scotches with 5-year-old whiskey because it's so hot and humid in Taiwan and the temperature fluctuates really drastically, kind of like Kentucky. It ages a lot faster than Scotland. But they didn't, completely do it on their own. They had Jim Swan come consult, who also helped Kilchoman and Amrut. He also helped start up Amrut. So, as it's typical for distilleries to have a consultant from the industry who's, an expert to help them start up and get their mashing right and all that. But
it's still a pretty solid whiskey.
So this one, I'm sad I don't have the soloist version. That was the bottle I brought back that I finished. So this isn't the true cast strength version of the Kavalan Ex-Bourbon, but it is 108 proof. So
what's the distinction here? Because don't they use Ex-Bourbon barrel for a lot of them?
Yes, but this is only ex-bourbon and it's first fill ex-bourbon barrels,
Okay.
no refill casks. And as now we're getting up to higher proof. So they have pretty much, they produce all their whiskeys like the sherry cask, the ex-bourbon. All of these are produced both at a batch proof, which is like this. So it's 54%, but it's not a single cask. The soloist version is a single cask version of that, and it's true cask strength. So they have like two versions of all their whiskeys. So this isn't quite, I think the soloist ones are the best. But I think I'm thinking you might like this one. You can give Tyler a little bit too if you want to pour him a wee dram.
Sure. There we go.
I like the nose on that. Very vanilla and honey.
It's very light, especially coming off the Concertmaster, which has a lot of that port influence. This one's almost hard to pick up.
Yeah, you may just have to let it open up in the glass a bit too.
Oh, there we go. Once you swirl it around a few times and then let it sit, it starts to pop out.
So,
okay, so this is what, and we talked about this one of the other times too. This is what I would refer to as a bright whiskey.
okay.
The nose is very bright. It's kind of sharp, with like citrus notes, and it's not nearly as floral or kind of like super soupy, super fruity like the first one.
Yeah. So to me,
that smells good.
Yeah, and as it really starts opening up. I really noticed with high proof whiskeys. So this is a mini sample that we're drinking, and I've heard people discuss miniatures of whether or not they have the same quality as the full bottles.
Ugh, seriously?
Yes.
Ugh.
Simply because the way they're stored, the seal is different. The way they're stored is typically different. They're not treated with as much care. They might be left out in the light. They might be using the tail runs of the barrels to fill the minis. I don't know. I've just heard lots of people discuss whether or not they think minis are as good as the full bottles. What do you think? Have you ever noticed a difference?
No, and I think I'm already annoyed with this conversation. Like, I would challenge anybody to pick a mini out of a lineup. Period. I'll pour you all of them. I'll mix in a few minis. You tell me which one are minis.
So now here's my follow-up question. Do you think that people have that perception just because there's variability within any whiskey between any two bottles, even if it's a standard bottling? Like the Buffalo Trace whiskeys that you did the other day, where that one was just wildly different and
and
bad.
that was a rarity too, because I've never had a Buffalo Trace that tasted like that. It was super odd. It's, especially if you're dealing with a product that's a small batch or that's a single barrel and it's in a small bottle, I can see that being a problem. More than anything, though, I think people just want to see a difference.
Okay.
Like they just want to look at it and be like, oh, I don't want those minis because they taste different. They use the last run of the distillate for the little minis.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
whatever.
Yeah.
Like I don't buy that. I really don't.
Yeah, I've never compared. I've never gotten a mini of a whiskey and a full bottle and done them like side by side.
Well, future podcast. Let's do
an
mini
episode.
versus full bottles and see what happens. But
Settle it.
I would be stunned if people could actually tell the difference.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a little bit more oxidation in there, but I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
I've just heard a few people mention that they've had minis of a whiskey that they know well, and they thought it was noticeably worse. Mm-hmm. So take that for what you will.
Were these Scotch people? Are these Scotch
Yes.
minis? Oh,
Yes,
okay, now it
Scotch
makes
minis.
sense. Yeah, bourbon people don't think that. That's just Scotch folks that think that they can taste the small. They can taste this just tastes like small bottle. Can you taste the small bottle in this one? I like the large bottle flavor just a little bit better. Yeah, I don't. Although so I'm kind of a snob when it comes to wine too, and I tried a wine this past week, and I swear to God I could taste metal in it, and I was like, this stupid thing is stainless steel aged, right? And she was like, yeah. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe somebody can tell the difference, but.
Maybe that's why you don't like Eagle Rare 17. because they're sticking in those stainless steel barrels to
I just
hold on
smell,
to it
yeah,
for
I just
years
smell
and years.
metal. That's all. And I smell metal and greed. That's all I smell when I taste Eagle. when I taste Eagle Rare.
Metal and greed. It's kind of true though. You know, like some of those limited whiskeys, it's very artificially induced, the scarcity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But theoretically, it's for the purposes of not running out. It's to make sure that they don't run out until the stock builds up. But I don't.
Yeah, that's a good theory.
I get
that's a good
suspicious.
theory. Yeah, I don't think that's what it is. I think it's
And they have giant stainless steel vats of Pappy Van Winkle just
all over
sitting
the
around.
place. Yeah, just sitting there because they don't want to age it any longer. They want to get out of the barrel and just let it chill in these big vats. I don't know. It's all about the illusion of it being rare these days. And hey, Buffalo Trace, like, they're the best at that. They started that.
Yeah.
And that, by the way, is why Blanton's is no longer available anywhere and why people trample each other over Buffalo Trace, which should be like a $25 bottle. So this, by the way, is a fantastic little whiskey.
You really like it?
I really like this one. Yeah.
All right. How much would you pay for this one?
The small bottle, I wouldn't pay anything because it's crap. This is junk.
Yeah. Well,
This is junk in a small bottle.
If it didn't have the small bottle flavor, if it had that big bottle punch.
Ooh. And this is what, 104?
108 proof.
108. Okay. So I would probably go.
So this is getting right up into your wheelhouse of like, it's got the body, it's got the
Yeah, this is my kind of whiskey. I would be, if I paid 80 to 100 for it, I'd be happy. If I paid over 100, I'd be like, eh.
Would you be willing to pay a little over 100 just because it's rare? And you might only see a bottle once every couple of years.
Yeah, I probably would.
Okay. Yeah. So this is about $125 to $150, depending on the store.
Yeah, and I can see it being in that range.
Yeah.
It's 150 might be kind of pushing it for me, but it's unique enough at the 108 proof. It's got a nice little kick to it. It's definitely a warmer pour than what you get on the other two. And you can feel that in the mouthfeel too. It's
I like this at least twice as well as both the previous ones.
At least twice as well.
At least twice as well.
Wow, that's very precise. So would
No,
you
it's
pay?
not.
So would you pay twice as much?
At least twice as well.
Well, we didn't even rate the other one. So
Yeah,
what does
but
twice
I'm
as well
just-
mean?
I'm just saying.
I like it 1.75 better than the other two.
Okay, that's precise.
Yeah.
At least twice as well could be 10 times.
I don't even know what that means. Who says I like it twice as well? Have you heard that before, Tyler? No, Tyler's never heard that either. I like it twice as well. That's what am I dealing with?
At least.
I'm just gonna drink. I'm just gonna keep drinking. Like, I think that's the best approach.
At least what? It's at least. I can't.
Paul now has lost the ability to
can't.
speak.
You know what I
You
meant.
got it.
You know what I meant.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not crazy.
You might be. You might be a little.